So today we're going to be talking about sellers. We have another minute, but I just want to prep you guys. There's a lot that's happened in our world over the last couple of weeks, at least, certainly even in the last few days. And so I'm going to dive in, and Austin's going to pepper in as well. Just really how the NAR settlement, what it is, just a huge overview, especially for the listing side and the seller side, which is where I do a majority of my business. And then what I'm really seeing as far as opportunity for growth in your business, for sure. And where you can really create your own world and your own success with NAR settlement and everything that changed 3 days ago. So if you all are ready, we're just going to dive right in. Forgive me, I'm going to look at my notes just a little bit as we're going through. There's a lot that I want to cover in a short period of time. If you have any questions as we're going along the way, as always, I really love for you to pepper them into the chat. I think that the only way we're going to grow and learn with our business is by sharing our experiences with each other. So the one thing that I always like to say is we all are in a very even playing field right now because we all were impacted at the exact same time with the NAR settlement. So it's not like because I've been in the business possibly a little bit longer than someone else or vice versa, that I understand more of what's going on. So there are very few times in any industry that you can level the playing field and you literally are all starting at the same time. So that's what I really want to dive into this right now and talk about the elephant in the room, because I'm seeing very interesting things in North Carolina that I think that we can all learn from. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So exactly what was the outcome of the NAR settlement? Because I'm seeing a lot of things on Instagram right now, and some of them are true, but some of them aren't true. So the first thing is that compensation can no longer be listed in your MLS. I don't know about in your area, but in our area, this was taken off on August 6th. So we had a little bit of time to get used to that compensation not being there. So I want you all to consider that up to this point, compensation had to be in the MLS, right? It had to be in there. Even if it was $1, it had to be there. So now we've completely shifted that dynamic. It no longer can be listed in the MLS at all. That means no private remarks. It means not with showing time. It means anything that is connected to the MLS, Zillow, Realtor.com, it cannot show up. So you cannot talk about buyer agency compensation anywhere in the MLS. And again, this is completely opposite of what we were doing before. Well, that means that you as the listing agent are no longer responsible, right? You're no longer responsible for negotiating both sides of the commission at the listing appointment. And you can focus solely on what your unique value proposition is and what your compensation is. And I've got to tell you, that's going to be a struggle for some of you because you're so used to thinking this as a whole, right? As an entity, as something that you are there and you're going to go ahead and negotiate not only for the buyer agency, but also for the listing agency. And so this is a whole new way to really walk in with the sellers in that listing presentation and really bring what your value proposition is to the table. So there are some MLSs who have a field that offer concessions. So in North Carolina, our MLS, the Triangle MLS, decided not to have this particular area. But in there, obviously, you can do it for repairs, you can do it for credits, commissions, buying down the rate, whatever the buyer needs, those concessions can actually go toward that. So when you're having conversations with your sellers, these are some of the things that you're going to talk about, is that no longer is it going to be an overall compensation that's actually given. It's going to be something that's negotiated on the between you and the seller. And then as those offers are coming in, you can go ahead and choose to negotiate as they come in. Now, a realtor agent is required to have an agreement signed prior to working with buyers and not showing them a house. So what I'm hearing a lot on Instagram and on Facebook is actually that the buyer is required to have an agreement in place before they can see a home. Guys, that's not true. I don't want to hear that anymore. What I do want to hear you all say is that it is required for a buyer's agent to have an agreement in place, not the buyer. So this actually ensures that we get compensated for our services. This is what the NAR settlement was all about. It was to ensure that buyers fully understood and it was transparent exactly what duties that we were providing and what we were being compensated for those duties. I want you all to go ahead and take a QR code of this This is the NAR's frequently asked questions. So it's going to be really important for you all to go ahead and share this in your listing presentation, to give it to your sellers and to give it to your buyers. It is going to be updated on a regular basis from NAR, and it's really, really important that they understand the trade that we've chosen to align ourselves with our industry, what those settlement questions are, and have it come from them. Oh, hi. Yes, Austin.
Hey, you. I scanned that real quick. It's 30 pages.
There you go.
Which,
I'll go back to it for a second.
Yeah, it's okay. So this is 30 pages. So put in the chat, what profile on the disc profile, what letter would like to have these 30 pages? If you could only pick one, put in the chat, what letter?
I'll give you a heads up. They're neither of mine.
Okay, look at that in the chat real quick, everybody. If you didn't know that answer, you're missing out. Okay, you might be missing something. And so for some of you, when you see 30 pages, you're like, oh my God, why would I do this? For other people that have clients that have C's, and just to be clear, if you have a husband, wife, or whatever, there's two of them, probably one of them will want to read this. So use it as a link, use it as a resource. That way you're providing them and making them feel comfortable, which also means you should probably know what it says.
I really appreciate you saying that, because Austin, there will also, your sellers who 100% will not only read this from cover to cover, but will ask for additional information after you've sent this. There will be some sellers, you walk in, they have no idea what the NAR settlement is. And so it's incumbent upon you to educate them based on your fiduciary duties as a listing agent, but also what the NAR settlement is and how it's impacting how those offers are coming in and what they look like. Thank you for that.
So out of the 30 pages, there's probably only 5 questions on average. If you gave this to 100 sellers, there's probably 5 questions they're going to ask you, in my opinion, from dealing with people for a living. There's 5 questions. Figure out what those are and how you're going to answer their questions to better suit you and them to get what you guys want. Okay, that's the work from this. So thanks for sharing that, Chanel.
Oh, you're so welcome. So this is another thing that I think it's really incumbent upon us as listing agents to talk about. These aren't laws, guys. I hear people say, this is the law. These are the regulations. They aren't laws, right? As members of the NAR, we have to follow them, or we have actual consequences that impact us. But these aren't laws. They're not state laws. They're not federal laws yet. Right now, they're just rules and regulations that have been passed through our trade organization, NAR, that there are consequences if we so choose not to follow them. And MLS fines are a real thing, and I want you all to take them really seriously. For us, the first time, Nina would probably know this better than I would. First time, I think it's 500. Second time is 1,000. Third violation, you get kicked out for a year. So are you all seeing in your MLSs that it's probably similar? Don't work around it. Figure out. I mean, to me, that's the easy way. That's also the uneducated way. And you all are better than that. So don't try to cheat the system. This is all making us better as realtors. It's making us better as listing agents. And you're just, instead of trying to work around the system and cheat around the system, I want you all to really figure ways out to make this work to your advantage. So there's a gap here that I'm seeing, and that I'm sure that a lot of you all are seeing as well. And the gap is that NAR went ahead and worked with the Department of Justice to get everything taken care of in the settlement. And then there's the finish line of what is actually occurring, right? There's all this time in between. There's this gap that so much antitrust and so many different very not so great things with the industry can occur, and I'm already seeing are occurring. So then us as leaders in our industry, what are we going to do to make up the gap between where the settlement started and where things are actually occurring? And so I really ask you all to really think about that, right? Because what are we going to do with that gap in between? And how are we going to rise to the occasion to make this an opportunity to be paid from buyers to buyers agents, and then also to up our negotiation opportunity and be the best negotiators we can as listing agents as well. So how does this impact listing agents now? So I will tell you the best thing that you can do right now is, firstly, I need you to create flowcharts based on how a lead source comes in and what type of lead source that it is. That's extremely important for yourselves as team leaders, solo agents, and also for your team members. Your team members and leaders, and even as solo agents, need to fully understand if a lead comes through that's Zillow versus a lead comes through that's a part of your sphere of influence versus another lead comes through. You all need to know exactly what paperwork is necessary to ensure that you stay in compliance and you're covered from any and all liability. So start working on those flowcharts if you haven't yet, because that way, when a lead comes in, instead of your phones blowing up constantly because your team members have no idea what to do with the lead and you're trying to, catch up as you're going along, I want you all to set up those flowcharts. So as those leads are coming in, your team members and you as solo agents know exactly what you're going to need in order to proceed along the lines, right? There's a lot of moving parts here, and we have to make sure. You're going to have to set your value. So myself as a listing agent, I charge Z. There is no X for A, B, and C. There is no Y for D, E, and F. I charge Z. If you choose not to move forward with me because I charge Z, I just won't work with you. That is not for everybody. That is for me though. So my recommendation for you all is I really want you to align with your values, figure out what your worth is, what you think your worth is, and what does that look like for you? What does that look like for you? Do you want to offer, okay, I'm going to charge this as a listing fee, but for that, I'm going to do A, B, and C. I might charge more or less, right? Y, but I'm also going to do D, E, and F. Or you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity that I'm only charging Z, no matter what. And this is how I'm going to proceed with my business, and I'm not going to do an X and I'm not going to do a Y.